The PSP Wobbler allows you to add some wobble to your music. So I have here this bass line. This is what it sounds like dry. We'll go ahead and add some wobble to that. We'll give it a little bit of a rate, maybe like 0.6. We'll give it a huge amount of feedback, and everything else can be left alone for the moment, and we get this sound. Now, if we want to reduce the amount of wobble that we're getting, we can go ahead and turn down the wobble knob. This works as a wet dry, but it works on a principle of pitch shifting. So if you have it all the way down, that is no pitch shifting happening. Sounds like this. Bring it up. Half dry, half wet. And if we take it all the way up, it is completely pitch shifted. If you want to see, there's a video on the PSP channel where they talk about it more in detail with Alan Parsons himself. So there are some cool ways also to reduce this effect. Because it is an analog modeled plugin, there are age and drive controls. There's also things like drift, which add some variation like the hardware itself would have as it would get warmer. So if I bring up the age, we will reduce and change the nature of these very resonancy peaks because of our high feedback. Kind of a cool way to tame it back instead of relying on just the wet dry. And there's also drive, again, adding emulation. And so we'll go ahead and take that all the way up. That's the drive. Now for this particular sound, in this particular track, I really don't think I want that. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave these alone, but they are options that we have. Something kind of cool this plugin also does is you'll notice that there are these different modes, and on the note and rate, you can change the rate, as you move around, and there is this slide control or glide control, I should say. And this controls when you change the rate, how long it should take to actually get to that rate so that you get a smooth transition. It doesn't just jump around all of a sudden. So for example, here is a very slow rate, and I'll pump it up to a high rate, and we'll see that it takes a while to get there. We'll slow it down. So there are some cool possibilities, especially if you're messing with this live, that allow you to just do creative stuff. Let's go ahead and look at the second case now. So I have a bunch of bells in this track, and they sound like this. They form this bass behind everything. And I want to make them wobble a little bit, change, add some interest, texture variation, that sort of a thing. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take my rate. I'm going to set it a little bit quicker, but not too quick. So I'm going to have it at like 3. That sounds like fine to me. I'm going to bring up the feedback a bit. We don't need a ton of it. I'm going to go ahead and activate it here in the middle. And just with these moves alone, it sounds like this. Now it is maybe a little too much here. I am going to tame it this time with the wobble control, so that it just sort of lives in the tail end. It sets back real nicely on the tail end of these elements and just sort of makes them interesting to listen to. You may want less, you may want more, you'll probably want to automate it, to be honest. So that's our second use case. As you can see, if you know what you want, it is extremely fast to dial in. It's more about experimenting with it and finding when you want to use it. Our last case is a little interesting. It's on a vocal. On the vocal, you don't want rate or feedback. I mean, you could do wobbler that way, but wobbler, since it's got this analog modeling aspect to it, has drive, age, and drift, which are also interesting controls to add and to get interesting vocal effects out. So the vocal itself sounds like this at the moment.
Street reflections in the night dance across my eyes, delight.
So what we can do is we can add the wobbler, and if we give it a high age value or a high drive value, let's start out with the age. So we'll go ahead and double click this to reset it and bring the age all the way up. It sounds like this.
Street reflections in the night dance across my eyes, delight.
Now if we take the drift off,
The call is out, please answer. I need someone to know for sure.
We'll go ahead and bring the H back.
Street reflections in the
Bring
night
the drift up.
dance across my eyes, delight.
Bring the drive up.
The call is out, please answer.
Bring the age up.
I need someone to know for sure.
So you can get some cool effects this way as well. Just as a color effect, maybe you want to bring in a layer and compression in doing it for you. You could try crushing and distorting it and bringing it in as a supporting layer. But this is something I didn't expect myself to be doing with the wobbler. You think of wobbling when you hear a word like that, but it actually works extremely well as a really nice controlled color box. So those are my 3 use cases. Do you have a case that you're dying to use this on? Is there a particular sound that you tend to find yourself grabbing this for? And how does this stack up for you against other tools you may have? Let me know down below. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos, and have a blessed day.
Street reflections in